Hey, everybody. This is Chris Scott. I know we're getting you guys moved over onto the right webinar platform. We're having some webinar platform issues. But if you can hear me, if you're on YouTube watching this and you can hear me, just let me know that you guys can hear the video coming through and that you can see the sound coming through. And then we'll just get started in a couple of moments because we've got a pretty exciting topic to share today. We're going to talk about using Google AdWords, which is something I've been wanting to share and talk more about, however. But I've long waited because of how complex it originally was to create ads on the Google platform. But it's a heck of a lot easier these days, and so I'm excited to share that with you. So if you guys can see and hear me, just let me know. If you're not watching this on YouTube, meaning you haven't clicked on the View on YouTube channel, please do so, and that way you'll be able to see both my screen and my, well, you'll be able to hear me. I guess you could hear me already, but click on the View on YouTube button, and then I'm going to have Taylor just keep responding to people in there with, hey, click on the YouTube button, or even give them the link, Taylor, so that they can view it on YouTube. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start and go ahead and begin the presentation, and then I'm going to go ahead and get started so that way, for those people who are logging in, they'll be able to jump right in, and then I'm not going to hold you up any longer because we actually have quite a bit to talk about today with us talking about YouTube, or excuse me, with us talking about Google Ads. It's new, for a lot of folks that are joining us today. I'm going to run a poll here in just a few moments because I'm curious to see how many of you guys have used it. But here's what we're going to be talking about today. I'm going to try and organize this training on using Google Ads, but around specifically marketing a listing. I think for getting our minds and getting some initial foundation of skill built is going to be tremendously helpful if we start by putting it into the context of something we're familiar with, like marketing a listing. So that's what we're going to do. And today I'm going to show you how to market a listing, a specific listing using Google AdWords. I'm going to show you how to choose keywords to market your listings, and it would even work for open houses for that matter. I'm going to share with you how to select the right audience criteria for setting up your Google ad, meaning you want to make sure that you're following the fundamental marketing rule where we're going to put the right message in front of the right person at the right time. And I'll tell you what, there is no better time than when someone's actually running a search for what you have to offer. And that's what Google allows us to do. We're also going to show you, and we're going to, by the end of today's session, you should have some familiarity with how to use the Google AdWords platform to create an ad on Google. So get this, guys. I looked this up just last night as I was preparing for today's presentation, and there are 1.27 million average monthly searches for homes for sale and houses for sale. Can you believe that? On average, in the United States and Canada, there are 1.27 million searches for that have these terms included in the search. So when they go on Google, for example, they're typing in some search term or some search phrase that includes the keywords of homes for sale or houses for sale. Now, that's a lot of searches that take place, and this happens every single month. Every single month, 1.27 million people are going in there in North America and entering this phrase in. Now, I've got a question, and because I'm doing this real time, it's going to take me like just a quick second to set this poll up, but I am going to run a poll here. Let me see if I can do this.
YouTube, they can't participate. They can't participate.
Oh, you can't participate on this?
They would have to have both open.
All right, so Jordan is reporting to me that I can't run the poll feature. Well, let's do this. Is the chat section work on YouTube? No? All right. Well, you guys are going to have to send this to me like through your mind energies and let me know. Have you tried using Google AdWords to run an ad on Google? Most of you, I'm going to guess, fall into one of three camps. And it's going to be, yes, I've tried it. No, I haven't. And I think a lot of you may have tried it and it didn't work for you. And that's a pretty common experience. In fact, for a long time, with every advertising platform I've ever used, whether it's Google, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, when I first started using it, it always worked really badly for me. But I'm going to share with you guys today some of the things that I've learned, and hopefully that you'll be able to have a better experience learning how to use Google AdWords. Now, as we start talking about Google AdWords, it's important for you to understand that there are 4 types of Google ads, okay? There are 4 distinct types of Google ads. You have search ads, and search ads are the ones that show up when you go to Google and you search for, example, homes for sale in Austin. So those things at the top that you see in those search results, those are called search ads. All right, important note. In fact, today in this session, we're going to be talking about search ads, but they're not the only type of ad. In fact, I am going to dedicate future training and future sessions on how to do these other types of Google ads. There are what referred to as display ads. That's when you can see a little banner ad as you are going around the web. There's going to be, and even in Gmail, where you can see just a little banner ad of what you have to offer. There's also video ads that you would see on YouTube, as well as on partner sites where you can actually share a video. That's something that we are investing in heavily. So over time, I'm going to share with you, I think over 3 different coaching sessions, we're going to talk about search ads, display ads, and video ads. And then there's app ads. I probably won't get into that because not many of us have apps that we're going to promote. So like I said, in this session, we're going to talk very specifically about how to create these search ads so that when someone searches these ads that you see within on Google, and remember, it may not show up on the top. It may show up on the bottom. It may show up a few pages in. But what we're trying to do with these search ads is to create those advertisements that show up on the search results page when somebody goes to search. Now, when creating a Google ad for a search advertisement, there's an important term that you have to know about. It's called keyword or keywords. Keywords are the words or the phrase a person searches for in Google. That's what they're called. So when we go, for example, here on your screen, the homes for sale in Austin is the keywords that are being used in this search. So when someone goes to Google, they type in whatever they type in for a search, that is the keyword. Now, when it comes to creating search ads on Google, we first have to determine, right, before we get into Google and start playing around with things, we first have to understand what keywords we want to work with. Now, there's a number of different keyword strategies, and I'm going to share with you just sort of open your thinking to the different types of things to search for, because a common mistake that people have is, well, I'm just going to go to Google and find out what most people are searching for, and then I'm going to bid on that keyword and get my ads to show up. That's never a good idea. It's a great way to spend a lot of money getting a very horrible result. And the reason is there is competition for keywords, and keywords can be very expensive depending on the keyword that you're going to use. So I'm going to share with you just a few different types of keywords in terms of scope and cost. So examples of keywords, and what I wanted to do is help you understand that there are keywords that are very general, that have lots of traffic, and their cost might be high or low. And then there are also keywords where they're fairly specific, where there's not as much traffic. And depending on the keyword, it might be lower. I think in real estate, you can, there's some generalizations that we can make about keywords. And so, for example, one of the keywords phrases that you see on the top of this table is homes for sale in, let's say, a specific city. For me, that would be homes for sale in Austin. Now, that scope is pretty general. That means that it's a very broad scope. Another variation of that is houses for sale in Austin, Texas. The search traffic, there's going to be a lot of search traffic for that general term. It's also going to be inclusive of many other terms. If I just say, hey, I want all the traffic that is somehow related to homes for sale or houses for sale in Austin, there's going to be a lot of search traffic, but generally speaking, it's going to be lower quality search traffic. Now, that does not mean that you don't want it. It really depends on the campaign objective that you have. It's not a bad campaign objective if you're trying to get as much possible reach. The only downside to something like this is the cost, right? So if you, even though there might be high volume traffic, if it's low quality, it's okay if you're just trying to, like, let's say, market a listing. The problem is if the cost is very high, you can't really sustain that amount of spend. So a different variation on a keyword search phrase would be Austin real estate agents, right? So this is where, someone who's thinking of buying or selling wants to search for Austin real estate agents. Now that scope is still pretty general, right? It's not like they're looking for a specific real estate agent or even a real estate agent in a specific area. So the scope is still general. There's a decent amount of traffic, or it's a high volumes traffic, a high volume keyword, meaning that there's a lot of people searching for that in a given month. And I would say that's medium quality because the intent is that they are specifically looking for somebody to help them buy or sell a home. The cost for that phrase is also pretty high. If you were to go in, and I'm going to show you how you can estimate how much traffic and how much competition for a keyword is there in just a couple of moments here using Google's keyword planner. It's a great tool. And it's a free tool that you can go in there and start to estimate what some of these keywords, how much traffic there is in a given month, and how much competition there is. Now, you also have things like homes for sale in a specific neighborhood. So for me, that might be homes for sale in Circle C, and that's an area in Austin, or homes for sale in Barton Creek, or homes for sale in East Austin, right? So homes for sale in a very specific neighborhood. Now that scope is within our area still pretty general. There's medium volume, there's medium quality, and the cost can be medium to high. And we're actually going to zero in on this type of advertisement today because we are going to walk through how to market a listing. And so a listing would be in a specific neighborhood. And I think that it's a good starting place for us. Now, there's also keywords, for example, on a specific property like 154 Congress Avenue, Austin, Texas. That's very specific. That's going to be a low volume traffic, will be relatively high quality. Now, one of the downsides to it is there might not be enough traffic for this ad to be able to run, but the cost is also very low. So it really just depends on the timing of how many people searching for that address. Now, who would be searching for an address like that? Well, usually the seller and, very interested buyers. And then also another keyword would be Gary Wise Austin. This would be if you include your name and city. This is very specific. There will be low volume but high quality search results because people are looking for you. Now, we actually covered how to do that specific Google campaign on the March of 2018 coaching session, where we showed you how to run a Google campaign, specifically trying to find and market to make sure your website shows up for the people who search for your name and city. But today, we're going to focus on being able to market when people search for homes for sale in a very specific area. So homes for sale in Austin is not specific enough. Homes for sale in East Austin might be a better example. We're actually, for the example today, we're going to pick a zip code. Normally, I would not just be as general as picking a zip code for this. However, the reason why I'm picking a zip code is it just so happens the listing is in a zip code that is also sort of it's a neighborhood area. It's a zip code in Austin called 78704, also referred to as 04. And so that's where, that's what we're going to do our practice for today. Now, if you want to learn more about keywords and you want to have an understanding on how to research keywords, there's this pretty cool tool called the Keyword Planner, and it's actually part of the Google advertising platform. You can access it by copying the links on your screen there. It says adwords.google.com. You can actually just go to Google and search Google Keyword Planner, and the links will display. You'll see this page, and you just can click on the Start Now button to get started with it. But when you log in, if you're using if you're in Google AdWords, you can also access it by clicking on the little wrench icon at the top there and selecting the Keyword Planner tool. That'll bring up a screen that looks like this, and then you can just type in the keywords that you would like to research. So I just put in here, for example, homes for sale in 78704, and it pops up this really cool chart, right? It's going to show me what the monthly search volume trends are, and then if I scroll down, it's going to show me not only how many average monthly searches, but also the competition, what it would cost to get on the very top of the page, and what the high and low range for getting that in there. Now, this is going to make more sense in terms of what it's going to cost, but this is a helpful tool just to get a sense of, right, well, how many people are searching for this? Now, you can see that comparatively speaking, homes for sale or houses for sale in 78704, it's not like it's much lower. It's 170, 90 compared to 18,000, 8,000, but these are much broader. Remember, we talked about the much broader, much more general keywords. And I always prefer to be very specific, with following that right person, right message, right time fundamental marketing rule, the more specific we can be in who we're going to market to, meaning that I want to put this listing, because it's a listing in 78704, in front of people who are searching for homes in 78704. That's why the right person / right message lines up here. And that's what we're going to use for example. Now you can use, or you can access Google AdWords. Google AdWords is the advertising platform that you're going to use to create your Google AdWords campaign. So you can go to adwords.google.com and you'll see a screen that looks something like this, and it'll click on the Start Now button and it'll bring you into Google AdWords. Now, I have to mention, I'm actually going to do a quick walkthrough of how to create the ad. It's very easy. It's so much easier these days than it was just a year ago or 2 years ago, which is one of the reasons why I was so excited to share and start teaching on how to use Google AdWords. Is they made tremendous improvements on the tools to create these ads. They're much more like how Facebook has improved Ads Manager. A couple of years ago, if you were going to try and create a campaign on Google AdWords, meant that it was going to be a long, hard process and it would take you a very long time. Whereas now it's pretty fast. It's very straightforward once you have an understanding of a few fundamentals. Now, the first time you go in to create a Google AdWords campaign, it is going to have you create a first ad. Now, I'm going to share with you that you're going to want to just sort of skip through this process. Now, it's going to force you to create the ad. So you're going to have to do this, and it's not going to look like any of the other screens that I'm about to share with you. That's why I have, actually, Jordan put together a little guide just to show you how to go run through this. And then what I suggest is you turn this campaign off. Google AdWords has this, it's like an onboarding campaign. It has you create your first ad just to get you familiar with it. The problem with it is it does not have the audience selection and keyword selection tools that we need for this to be able to work. So what I suggest is use that bit.ly link and download the guide, and you'll walk through and just quickly go through that first ad campaign. But you're going to want to disable that campaign so that you can come in and use Google AdWords the way I'm about to share with you and show you how to do it. So here's an overview of what we're going to do. I'm going to show you exactly how to go into Google AdWords. I'm going to show you how to create a search campaign, and it's specifically to market a listing. So here's what the ad is going to look like when we're done. Right, so the ad is going to look like this. You'll see that it is, and I want you to pay attention here, because the languaging, or I should say the copy or the words being used are very important. Within Google, when you're running a search campaign, it is critical that the headline and the copy of the ad is very strongly connected to the keywords that are entered as for the search term. So if I search for the phrase, homes for sale or home for sale in 78704, that phrase needs to be in the headline. That's a fundamental Google AdWords rule, is that if you want people to click on your ad, that you have to have the search phrase within, or the search terms or the keyword terms within the headline of the ad. And you'll see that reflected here. So if you follow essentially the template that I'm giving you, that you will be adhering to that. But you can see this advertisement has a headline of 78704, home for sale. Note it is home, not homes for sale in this case. And we're saying that there's photos, and then we're putting in the address of the home. The reason why we're doing it this way is that I want people very easily to see that it is a home for sale in 78704. So imagine they've gone to Google, they've searched for homes or houses for sale in 78704 or 78704 homes for sale, and then this is one of the ads that they see. I want them to know that they're not seeing a whole bunch of homes, but they're seeing a specific home, and that's why I've included the address. And so I'm going to show you detailed how this works. Now, here's one thing I wanted to note. When they click on the top link, right, when they click on the top link where it says 78704 homes for sale, what's going to happen is it's going to take them to a property landing page. It's going to take them to a page on our website with more information about that listing. And so if you were to click on this ad, and it's a real ad running, if you were to click on this ad, it's going to bring you to this actual page. Okay? And so that's what I'm going to show you how to make. Once I walk you through how to do this, I'm going to show you how to go through the process of creating the ad. I'm going to show you, we'll talk about the copy and sort of the nuance, like what's important when writing the copy and what's important in choosing those keywords. And then we're going to close it out with an exercise. And then I think because of the webinar limitations today, I won't be able to do Q&A.
Yes, you will. I've got it.
Oh, never mind. I will be able to do Q&A today, Yahoo. And so Jordan's going to help me out with that. Okay, so without further ado, let's just jump in. Now, here's what I'm going to suggest that you guys do. You may, if you're more comfortable with tech, and you're like, you know what, I get Facebook ads, Facebook ads manager. I ate that for breakfast this morning. Then here's what I'm going to suggest. Pull up AdWords, follow along, have some fun with this. You don't have to do everything that I'm doing. Just get yourself a little bit familiar with the platform itself. That's, if I could just impart one thing today, which is that it's okay to go into Google AdWords and it's okay to create a campaign. Now, if you've had the experience where you've gone in there, it didn't work, that's where you're going to want to spend more time listening about the details of this. You may want to just really copy what I'm doing so that you can create this first campaign. Now, here's what I also going to share with you. This, just like anything else in real estate, is a skill. Using this tool, using Google AdWords, is a skill. Just like going on a listing presentation is a skill, just like running a Facebook ad is a skill, just like having an effective client consultation is a skill, creating an ad on Google is also a skill. And so do not expect that you're going to create your first advertisement and it's all of a sudden going to go gangbusters for you. That's not a realistic expectation. What a realistic expectation is, first you get familiar with how to create ads, then you get familiar with the tool, and then you start to create some ads and get some practice, and then you start creating them more efficiently, more effectively, and you start getting better results. Now, here's one of the great things about this is if you do this campaign, here's the promise that you're going to be able to make to your future prospective home sellers, which is, I'm going to run ads on Google for your home. In addition to marketing on Facebook, in addition to marketing on Google, and I'm going to also market on Google. So between Facebook and Google, I've got the internet covered. I've got mobile covered. I've got social media covered. I've got all search covered. So when you couple Facebook ads and Google AdWords, you can now make a very comprehensive promise to your home seller that, you know what, your home's going to get seen by everybody. Okay. So that is why this is so relevant for us. And it's another thing, one of the reasons why also I wanted to start showing you guys some of what we're doing with Google is that I never like to put all my eggs in one basket. And so I have for a long time been an advocate of Facebook, and I still am. I think it's a phenomenal tool. But I also think that, there might be a season when Facebook becomes a little bit less effective for us in real estate until we figure out how to really make it work as they start making some of the changes to some of the the partner categories they have for providing data. And so, for example, the likely to move category is going to be eliminated in Facebook. So it's going to take some time for us to figure out how to work around that. One of the great things is I'm going to show you how to find people who are in the market to buy real estate, who are in the market to sell real estate using a tool like Google AdWords. In this campaign, like I said, we're going to do the search, and I'm going to show you how to show up when people search. In a future campaign, I'm going to show you how to also show up on the display network, which is where you see banner ads, and even on YouTube in a future training session. One of the great things about when we get into display and YouTube advertising is they have a likely to move category. And it's not going away anytime soon. In fact, it's a brand new feature. So I'm really excited. I don't know if you guys can get this, but I'm very excited about sharing with you on Google AdWords. And so I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to show you how to create this ad and how to create this campaign. So when you go into Google AdWords, and like I said, if you're not following on, I want you just take note of some of the things that we're doing. I want you to have a high level overview of what the process is, because there's really only a handful of things that we're doing. Despite the screens, despite the clicks, there's really only 3 or 4 big things that we're going to do. We're going to create a campaign. All right. We're going to choose keywords. All right. We're going to set a budget, and we're going to configure the logistics, and then we're going to create the advertisement itself. So there's only a few things that we really need to do. The first one begins by clicking on that little blue button where you see my arrow pointing to, which is the plus sign there. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring up a pop-up to create a new campaign. So you select new campaign, and it's going to show you a screen that looks like this. And you're going to have to choose the campaign type. Now you're going to see that there's 5 campaign types: the search campaign, the display campaign, the shopping campaign, the video campaign, and the universal app campaign. By the way, these campaigns are the same 4 that I showed you right up here. The shopping campaign is actually a type of search ad and display ad. So I'm going to, over time, like I said, show you how to do 3 out of the 4 of these. And these correspond directly to, where is it, to these guys right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and you're going to select the search campaign. That's what we're going to do. We want to reach customers interested in buying a product or service with text-based ads. So when you click on that, your screen will modify a little bit. You're going to choose between sales, leads, and website traffic. Now, because we're marketing a listing, we're going to select website traffic. If I were trying to market a home buyer guide, a home seller guide, a home value estimate, I would select leads. But in this case, because I'm marketing a listing and that listing is located on a website, they have to click on a link to do that. We're selecting website traffic. The other thing, oops, let me go back up. The other thing I'm going to do right here is I'm going to enter the actual URL for the listing. Okay, so I'm going to load in here the landing page, which is, in this case, it was this one right here. I'm going to enter that right into where it says select the ways you'd like to reach your goal. So when people click on that link and they arrive, that's when they've achieved this goal. So I've entered the URL there, and then I can click on the continue button at the bottom. Now here's where it gets kind of interesting. You're going to give the campaign a name. All right. And so I use the same naming structure that I always have: CS, which stands for Krath and Scott Homes; traffic, which is for the objective; search is for the type of campaign that it is; and then because it's for a listing, I have the address. Here's where I need you to pay very close attention. You're going to leave this search network and include Google Search Partners. But under the display or add display network, it's by default yes. I need you to click no. I do not want you to add the display network to this campaign. And there's a number of reasons why. Most of it because our objective is to be able to market to people who are searching for this specific phrase, and we will end up spending a lot of money that we don't want to spend if we select that yes option. Now, there are times when it works, but it's kind of like when a YouTube video or something goes viral. It's not like something you can predict. Right? You can do a lot to try and encourage things to go viral, just like you can try and encourage your search campaigns to go viral on the display network. But it's hard to couple this together. I would prefer to have you create a search campaign. And if you want to do something in the future, we'll teach you how to place advertisements on the display network as a separate campaign. So that's why it's important to select the no in this when creating this particular campaign. Okay. Next we're going to do, and this is an easy place for people to get mixed up, is we need to enter a very specific location. Now, because we're selling real estate, make sure that you don't just have like all of the United States or all of Canada or all of the US. You want to enter in another location. You want to enter in a very specific location. So I only want people who are searching from and in a specific area, in a specific part of town, in fact, to be able to see this advertisement. Now, I know that people searching for homes for sale in 78704 could be anywhere in Austin. So that's why for the location that I'm going to put in here, I put Austin, Texas, and you'll see that it brings up a couple of different options. And all you have to do when you start to type in your city is to select the target option. Okay. So once you've done that, you can set a budget. So when we market a listing, depending on the price point of the home, I'm going to spend, all in anywhere from, I don't know, $100 for, anywhere from $100 to $500. It just depends on what our budget is for that particular home, which really depends on the price point of the home. So for a starting point, what I'm going to suggest is, if this is a just listed campaign just coming onto the market, that we spend about $10 for a handful of days, right? It's not like you need this running forever and indefinitely. I would plan on spending for a just listed campaign, $40 to $50 to start for your average sales price. Now, if your average sales price is $500,000, $600,000, $700,000, then you're going to want to increase this to correspond to the price of the home and the margin that you are making on that. For this example, I'm just going to have it spend $10 a day, but you're going to see that I'm going to limit it to only going 4 days. So I select budget. Then it's going to have you bidding. I think by default it was conversions. I changed this to clicks because what I'm trying to do is to get people to click on that ad. So it's going to optimize, and what it's going to focus on is getting on that click. You can, as an option, set what your maximum bid amount would be. For now, just leave that for default. In the future, once you have some information, you have an understanding of what the maximum amount you want to spend per click is going to be, you would put that in there. In the beginning, if this is the first time you're ever doing this, then don't do that, okay? You want to have a little bit more data before you start setting what your bid limit's going to be. You want to have some experience. You want to make sure that the ads you do run get some traffic, get some clicks, so you can learn and how that works. Then you're going to set the start and end dates. So I'm having this campaign run for 4 days. This will actually ends tomorrow. So select that end date. This is important. Please set an end date and know how much money you're about to spend. Right? I don't want you to inadvertently go in there and set no end date and then spend, hundreds and hundreds of dollars and get no result. Very important when you're just getting started with this is to go in there. If you're marketing and listing, there's no reason for this to be marketed for, a month. Just market it for a week at the most, or whatever budget you can afford. Okay. Moving on, we're going to create some site link extensions. You might be asking, what the heck is a site link extension? Well, if you notice on my ad, when my ad displays, not only did it market that home, below there was additional links to see my listings, so they could see current homes in the market and homes recently sold by my firm. And also they can get real estate tips. So there were blog posts with advice for buyers, sellers, and homeowners. All right. So if I want to add those site links, I just click on that little blue button down at the bottom, and it's going to have it to, let me grab a little arrow there so I can point to it here. So you're going to see a screen like this, and what you're going to do is you're going to start entering the site link text. So what I did for the first one was have it say my listings. And what that's going to do is it's going to take them to the listings page on Gary's Agent ID site. So you'll see the text, the headline for that site link is my listings. I need to have a very accurate description. One of the things you'll note that there are character limitations, so you want to choose your words wisely. If you're just getting started, just copy what I put in here, but you can improve it over time. But when you're marketing on Google, you're trying to speak directly to what that person wants and what that person wants to do. And so in addition to looking at that particular home and looking at homes in 78704, I want them to have the option to see all of my listings, see current homes on the market and homes recently sold by my firm. So they click on there and it takes them to my listing page. And then, but notice I had to split that up over 2 lines so that, I can say that whole headline. And then I have the addition. This is a different URL than the listing page. This one actually takes them to this page on Gary's site where it's just a roll up of the listings, and it'll be on yours as well. If you've set up your Agent ID site with us, the marketing website that we provide, that's included with your membership. When you click on that listings tab at the top, if you've added listings to your site or open houses, that'll show on this page. All right. So what I'm going to do then is also create a second one, which is for real estate tips. And that just takes them for someone who's searching. I just want them to see that there's more information available through real estate tips, just letting them know there's a blog with advice for information. And that just takes them to the homepage of our marketing site. Now, that's what I put there. You could put whatever you want. You need to have at least, if you're going to add site link extensions, you need to have at least 2 of them. So you can't just do 1, you got to do 2. That's why I put 1 for my listings and 1 for real estate tips. Once I've done that, and click on save, you'll see that they need to be selected, the ones that I created. That's why they're checkboxed over here. If you're curious to see what it's going to look like, just click on that little preview pane and it'll pull it up, and you can see it'll be, the rest of the ad will be grayed out, but you can see that where it's not grayed out will show you what your site link extensions look like. So once I've done that, and I've clicked out of there, I clicked on hide. The next thing I can do is add a call out extension, which is probably brand new to you. You're like, what the heck is a call out extension? It's this part right here of the ad. So on the advertisement, you see that there's a local market expertise, see photos, or tour home. Again, what I'm trying to do is choose very specific language to 1, build some confidence, 2, offer them what they want, which is to see photos and tour the home. And so that's what it looks like. In order to add it, I just need to click on the button for new call out extension and type in the text that I want. First one's going to be see photos or tour home. And just like the site link extensions, you need to have 2 of these. And I definitely encourage, here's one of the reasons why I encourage going through this is if you go do a search, a similar search for the one that you're setting up. So let's say I wanted to search for, let's go, let me pull up a tab here. Oops. All right. So if I was going to do a search for homes for sale, 78704. So that's where I'm creating the ad. Is notice that for the ads that are showing up, people are taking the time to make good quality advertisements by putting this other stuff in here. Now, one of the cool things is you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4. Yay, there's my ad. I'm not going to click on it though, because it's going to charge me if I click on it. So I definitely encourage, if you see your ad, yay, but don't click on it, otherwise you're going to end up paying for it. So anyway, one of the things you'll notice is that people do take the time to add this, and it's because it makes the ad itself a higher quality ad. There's more information, there's more relevance, there's more things speaking directly to me as the person who's searching. And that's why I would just take, I mean, it only takes 30 seconds to add these features to your ad. So just add them. All right. So in this case, adding see photos and tour the home. I'm also adding that second one there, local market expertise. And then when I click on save, then I can preview it. And then again, just like when I was doing the site link extensions, it's going to show me what that preview of the advertisement looks like. And then I'm done. That, like I said, that it's a very small time investment to vastly improve the quality of the ad that you're going to run on Google. So I click on save and continue. The next thing is the call extension. I actually didn't add the call extension because it was giving me some problems with trying to verify. Basically, the call extension feature is allows you to add a phone number for them to be able to click on and call, or tap on and call. But there was some site settings that I knew if I were to try and have you do it, it would cause problems. And so for your first ad, don't worry about adding a call extension. If it's something you want to do in future ones, have at it, but I wouldn't do it on your first one. And then once I've done that, it's going to have me start to choose which keywords that I want to search for, right? So I can give this ad group a name. And this one is because it's searching for homes in 78704. Just leave it as the zip code. And that's where I would literally start typing in the keywords. Now, there's something important to understand about this concept of keyword match types. So notice in here that I have the keywords in quotes. All right, that's giving very specific instructions. This is important because otherwise you're going to do, well, let me show you what will happen in the different types of keyword match types. So there's actually 5 of them, but we're going to cover 4 of them because the 5th one's too complicated to explain. So you only need to know these 4 anyway. The first one is what's referred to as a broad match type. All right, so what that would look like is just typing the keyword with no quotes, nothing. You just type in homes for sale 78704, for example. And that's what the example is, homes for sale. All right. When you use that, when you enter the match type, it's going to show whether the search is singular, it's going to show synonyms, it's going to show related searches. So an example would be Austin area home with pool for sale. Because home for sale is in there, even though it's not exactly in there, even though my search phrase is Austin area home with pool for sale, because home for sale is included in that search, that broad search will make that show up. The next type is when you do it by phrase. And that's actually what we've done here, is to include by the phrase. So what you can do is you can either use, you know what? This is not, sorry. I need to edit this real time. I made a mistake. Sorry, guys. It was late last night when I was editing this slide, and all right, now it's correct. The next one is what we call a phrase, and that's what we're doing in this campaign. I'm using a phrase search. When you do a phrase search, the keyword is just, or keywords are in quotes. So for example, homes for sale in quotes. Specifically, you need to have quotes in there. And this will show when the search phrase is entered. And there might be words before or after that search phrase, but if that search phrase, those words have to be in that order somewhere in that search phrase. So best Austin homes for sale under $400,000, because my example is looking for the phrase homes for sale. Since homes for sale is in this search phrase, it's going to show under that when people search for that phrase, it'll be one of the options that could show up. The next match type is called exact, and that's when you include it in those brackets, and it'll show up only when those exact phrase or that exact keyword is entered. So if there's anything more, anything less, it won't show up. So it's only going to show for that exact phrase. The next thing is a negative keyword, and that's when you want to like eliminate keywords from a search phrase. That's going to go beyond the scope of today's training for your first session, but that'll be definitely something that we talk about in the future for those of you who want to learn how to improve the quality of your Google Ads. And so negative keywords is a key strategy to doing that. We're not going to get into that today, though, because it's not necessary for your first campaign. So once I understand those different match types for our campaign here, if you're going to use one similar to what I've done, is you might be using a particular part of town. Let's say you were, I don't know, let's say instead of 78704, you're marketing to in Austin, there's this neighborhood called Circle C. I used to live there. So it might be Circle C homes for sale, and you would have that in quotes, or homes for sale in Circle C. Also, because it's a phrase search, I want to make sure I include those and include that in there. And I'm using those quotes to mention. I actually went through and did a little bit of keyword searches after I researched this, and these were all the relative searches using the keyword planner that I could find. Was homes for sale 78704, houses for sale 78704, 78704, houses for sale 78704, homes for sale, and it's just reversing the order, and then homes for sale in 78704. So you can, where I have 78704, you would include the neighborhood or the zip code that you're marketing to. Okay. So once we've done the keywords, the next step is to create the ad itself. So creating the ad is very straightforward. You just click on the new ad. And because this is a text ad on Google, you don't have to worry about like pictures and videos and creative. You can just stick to the language. All right. So the first thing you need to do is to have the URL that's going to the people are going to go to when they click on the ad. So you just copy and paste that from the property landing page that you have more information about that listing. The next thing you do is add a headline. And remember, one of the important things is to make sure that the keywords are located in the headline. So since I have 78704 homes for sale and houses for sale, that I want to make sure 78704 is prominent, and then home for sale. And then I've added a little bit more value here to the ad by showing people that if they click on here, they'll be able to see photos of it. The second headline is just the address of the listing so that they know right up front that this is for a specific home that's on the market. And that's really all you have to do. You can see after that, you want to add a description. The description is going to show up right here. And so I have here, see photos, watch video tour, schedule tour for 1103 West Monroe Street, Austin, Texas, 78704. So again, what I'm trying to do is, I don't want to be artsy in this. I don't want to be verbose in this. I need to tell people exactly what they're going to get. And that's one of the key fundamentals when using a tool like Google AdWords and using that search campaign is you got to give people what they're looking for. Gary oftentimes talks about how, what does your client want? What does your customer want? What do you give your client? You give them what they want. And when people are searching, they have very low tolerance. We have a low threshold for stuff that not relevant to us. So when people are searching, you want to show them this is what's in it for them. They click on this, they're going to see photos. They click on this, they're going to see a video tour. They click on this, they can schedule a tour to see this property. And so we want to be very upfront with the language that we're using. Once we've done that, however, we're done. I've created that. I can create some split test variations for it. And in the future, I would encourage you to create variations for that. But for the first ad, I wouldn't. I would just create this one version and then let this run. So you click on save and continue, and then that's it. You're done. You'll be brought to this screen here where it shows you, what the ad group can actually, that's what the ad's going to look like. One of the things I would suggest is go over to the keywords where you see that keyword tab, and then what you're going to do is scroll over the words where it says eligible, and it'll tell you if the ad is showing or not. Okay, now a couple of expectations to set for you guys is that it might take a little while for your ad to show. Don't expect for you to create this ad and then run it and all of a sudden go to Google and find it like I just found that one that I shared with you, and showing up in the 4th spot. Now, here's why, is that I did when I first created this campaign, I think I was on the second page of search results, and it was showing up at the bottom under one of the ads under the bottom. Now it's showing up as one of the ads on the top because it's Google's learning more about this campaign. It's learning more about what people want to see in the information. So now it's showing up higher in those search results. And that's a good thing. That means it's going to get more traffic. More people are going to click on it. But this is the way for you to be able to test whether it's working or not. If you were to click on that test or ad right here where it says ad preview and diagnosis, what you'll see is that it'll bring you to this page and it'll actually show you at that time where it might show up. So when I did this original screenshot, it wasn't in the top 4. I think it was towards the bottom of the page. You see it highlighted down there. And that completes the steps that you would need for running that Google search ad. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of an exercise, which is to create a Google AdWords campaign to market a listing. Here's the thing. Even if, let's say you don't have a listing, do a recently sold one. Just don't run the ad itself, right? Or, change the language so that people can see what the recently sold home in a particular area sold for, or that had actually sold, so they can see the photos and stuff of that particular home. So the exercise, the homework I'm going to leave you with you is to create a Google AdWords search campaign to market a listing. And with that, I think what I'm going to do is switch over to Q&A, but I need Jordan's help to be able to do that. So Jordan, why don't you come on over here? I'll make a little bit of space for you, and we'll do Q&A.
Okay. So, did you know that you can put the webcam on at the same time with this new platform?
You did? You can?
Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. Let me try it. Hey!
Hi, guys. First of all, thank you so much for staying patient with us as we figure out this new platform. We've got a bunch of technical hiccups, but the good news is that the replay uploaded to the resource library by Monday is going to be perfecto. I already confirmed it with our videographer. So thank you for sticking with us. So we have a bunch of questions.
Yay.
And I figure we'll do a couple quick ones, what I hope will be quick answers, and then a couple long ones, and then switch back and forth. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm here. I'm available, and I'm excited to share with you guys about Google AdWords. If we need to, I can even, pull up our campaign and show you how some of this stuff works if we need to. Okay.
So the first thing is, how do we find that keyword search page that Chris showed? Can you pull up that link again?
Well, you know what I'm going to do?
Gonna do one better.
I'm gonna go real time. We're gonna go real time. I'm gonna pull up. Let's pull up AdWords. Okay. All right. So I have one of our Google AdWords accounts here. This isn't my main one. This is a test account that I'm using. So I'm just gonna go over here and click on. You see at that top where there's that little a wrench. I don't know why I keep blanking when I look at that icon. It's a wrench. Clearly, I'm not a mechanical person, right?
If it was a chainsaw icon, you would definitely know.
No, I'm much more into the lawn and garden type equipment. Or when it comes to engine-related stuff, I don't know what I'm doing. So when you click on that little wrench icon, you're going to see that there is a link for the keyword planner. And so I'm just going to tap on keyword planner. And this is, I'll tell you what, you can learn a tremendous amount about what people are doing in your market with this tool. Even if you don't even run Google AdWords, this is a phenomenal tool to help you understand what should I include in my email headlines, what should I include in my social media posts. So let me go find out. So if I'm wanting to attract people who are searching for homes for sale, and I'm just going to type in Austin. So I'm going to start with a broad search. This is not the example that we provided today, but I'm going to show you how this is something that really can help us learn about the behavior within our marketplace and how people are behaving online. So you can see right here in Austin, the search traffic results. You can see the average monthly searches for keywords that are similar. So you see Austin homes for sale. What did I type in? I typed in homes for sale Austin, but there's, homes for sale Austin, Texas actually has 12,000 monthly searches as opposed to Austin homes for sale at 4,400. You can see the level of competition meaning how many other people are bidding on that term, how many other people are trying to get people to click on similar types of search phrases. You can see and then an estimate of what it would cost on a low range as well as on a high range to get your ad at the top of the page. Okay. Now, some of these you're going to see are really expensive. And that's what that's going to tell me is that's okay to understand that, because if there's high competition and the bid range is really high, that means that's a very valuable term typically. That might not make it for Google AdWords campaign that I'm doing because I can't afford to do that, but it's definitely going to show up as reminders in my emails that I send out, on social media, on blog posts, is that people are searching for Austin homes for sale, and that's high quality traffic. So those are some keywords that I might include on my blogs, as headlines in my emails. When I do a social media post, I know that people who are thinking of this is a high quality phrase to be able to include in all of my marketing. So I can go through here and start to set an expectation of where is it that I want to try and rank for. Now, I will share this with you, is that when I got to spit my gum out for this one, sorry.
That's how you know he's serious about to get into the good stuff.
So one of the things that's important to understand is that Google is it's a very intelligent tool when it comes to the advertising platform. So Google has this, it's a scoring system, and it's called ad ranking. And one of the things that it's going to do is, over time, for a campaign that you have running, is actually going to give you a score for the campaign. And it's also going to give you recommendations on how to improve that campaign. That's very powerful. Like with Facebook, when you create ads, you're like, I wonder what'll work. I'll try this. I'll try a different image. I'll do this. Google's going to tell you what to do. And so, in fact, you'll get notifications. You'll see that in a given ad, I'm in the wrong screen for this, but within a campaign, I could go over. Let me go back over to the campaign. You'll see that there's actually, if there's recommendations, there's a recommendations tab. It'll tell you how to fix your stuff once it starts to learn how to fix it. Now, one of the things, it's not just going to look at your ads. It's going to look at your audience. It's going to look at the quality of your ads. It's even going to look at the landing page, scan the landing page, and tell you whether or not the landing page itself needs to be improved. So that, because it's using the search engine optimization bots that it uses to search pages, it's going to even go to that level. So we have so much information that we can use to, over time, improve the quality of our advertising. You know, one of the things that you might find is, gosh, if I'm going to have an ad that's marketing this home that has, that's a home for sale in 78704, and if this thing, I got to make sure within the description of the page that it has those keywords in there, right? That'll improve the quality of the landing page itself, which will help not only just with people who are using that you're buying traffic from Google AdWords. It'll actually help the landing page itself to get more organic traffic. So very, very useful tool when you look at it holistically. But that keyword, I know the question was for the keyword ad planner, so sorry. I got a little side. It was
like I was trying to order them in like what would be the fastest, and I thought I threw you a softball.
Sorry.
So we have a bunch of questions about the specifics for this particular campaign.
Mm-hmm.
What are your recommendations for the start and end date, for the budget, and the goal?
Okay. It's somewhat situation specific. So let's say you are going to do a just listed campaign. Let's say you're going to do your first just listed campaign, which is going to be different than if you're doing your 40th just listed campaign using this tool. So if you're doing your first one, I'm going to suggest a budget, run it for about a week, maybe 4 or 5 days. Okay. And, spend I would prefer to have you in the beginning spend a little bit more money because when, Google doesn't understand your account, it doesn't understand your landing page, it doesn't understand anything about you until you start to spend some money with it. And that's one of the things to understand is all of these advertising tools are intelligent, meaning that they begin to improve, the campaigns get better with time and as you spend money, because Google does not want you to waste money. Unfortunately, if you do it completely wrong, you will waste money, but it doesn't really want you to waste money on there because it knows that you'll stop advertising. So I would start initially, let's say you have your first listing, spend $10 for 4 days. Get familiar with it. Over time, you're going to understand, all right, maybe I can bring that spend down a little bit as I improve what the language that I include in my just listed campaigns, the language that's going to go in the advertisements, because you'll get smarter about how to target within your area. I wish I could give you the exact blueprint, but unfortunately, some of that is based on the location, right? I used this one in 78704, even though I knew it wasn't like the best example because it was a zip code, but that's where the home was. And the actual, the neighborhood that it's in is called Bowden Creek. And there weren't enough search terms for that. So I wanted to make sure that I chose one. And I didn't have a listing to be out from Circle C, which would have been actually a better example because that's a specific neighborhood. But that goes into, it depends on the area, it depends on how many people are making searches for that. You know, if you, let's say it's a neighborhood with 1,000 homes in it, well, that's going to have different search traffic than a neighborhood that has 4,000 homes. I mean, a huge neighborhood with 4,000 homes in it. Well, that represents different levels of inventory, and so those costs are going to be different. So me marketing into even just like, let's say, the Westlake area of Texas, of Austin, I mean, will be different than somebody marketing in the Buda area of Texas, of Austin, South Austin. So to be out, there's the rule of thumb that I would give you is to start modestly so that you can learn how to use this. Come back often and look at what the information is telling you. You'll be able to come in and go into and start getting insights about your campaigns. For example, if you see on my screen, I can go into there and start to see just how much traffic and what's to be learned, right? So here's a cool thing is that I can go in here and I can, at the top under keywords, you can click under search terms and I can see which search terms have actually produced the result that people were clicking on. All right, so that it'll share with me how many people are actually, what are the search terms that are producing the result. I can come in here and if I saw search terms that clearly were not traffic related to real estate, let's say it was, I don't know, for some pool company, then I can that was clearly related to, you know, pool company deliveries or something like that. I can include those negative keywords here. But there's a lot of information to be gathered as people start to actually run this. And so that's where you'll start to modify your campaigns based on, all right, well, it looks like people are searching for this. I think that's what I'm going to focus on as I start marketing my listings.
So what is the goal that they should use when they're setting up? I don't think you touched on that. Chris, I believe, said,
Goal.
Oof. 1 second. Oh, Jim said, when you're first setting up the campaign, how should I answer the question, select goals, sales, leads, or website traffic?
Website traffic for this type of campaign. Website traffic. Because we're marketing a listing. And so what we're trying to do is to get exposure to that listing on a website. Now, in the future, I'm going to share with you how to do a display campaign, which is actually based on just getting impressions for your listing, which is also a really good thing to do. I thought it was more important to cover this type of campaign first because you'll understand fundamentally how Google works, and then the display campaign will be easier for us to get a picture of our listing and start selecting generally the audience. You don't have to base it off of an actual search phrase. You'll be able to select, hey, I just want to put this in front of people who are likely to move. And that's also an option that we'll cover in another coaching session. But I could only do so much in 1 hour that we had. I was thinking about doing search and display for this, but we would have been here like 2 hours. So
yes. Someone said, I didn't see anywhere in this illustration where demographics or behaviors were mentioned. How is likely to move implemented? So we're going to talk about that in another session.
When we cover YouTube ads, what we cover video ads and display ads is when we'll go over those. They're not relevant for doing the search. If someone's searching for a home for sale in 78704, it doesn't matter what the audience is in demographics. The search, the keyword or the search phrase itself represents the intent. And that's why it's real, it does require that fundamental understanding of what a search campaign is based off somebody going in there and actually searching for something related to what I have to offer. When I do a display campaign, it means they could be browsing the web, not even looking for what I have to offer at this moment in time, at that exact moment in time. They might be thinking of buying or selling a home, and I want to just display an impression of our listing to see if that incentivizes them to click on it and learn more. That's more similar to like what Facebook ads, how that works, is that similar to the display campaign. In fact, if I had to create sort of the analogy or what's most familiar, search is what you see in Google when you go and search on Google. The display network is similar to how Facebook has the newsfeed ads with images. That's very more similar to what it's going to be like for the display network. Now, the only difference is they're not going to Google and reading, a news feed. They're going to go to their news site. They might be on USA Today, and that's where they're going to see that display ad. And then those video ads are ones that show up, you guessed it, on YouTube. And so the video ads are very powerful as well. And one of the great things, the only problem with video ads and why I didn't want to start there is it does require the creation of video. So I thought I would save that for a little bit later, but it is a very phenomenal tool. In fact, you can, when you run YouTube ads, you can actually have it run for 30, the ad has to run for 30 seconds before you pay for it. It's a great tool. I plan on getting more people using that, but I wanted to start by getting you guys using this. And then we'll graduate to display ads, and then we'll graduate to YouTube ads.
Yvonne said, you said our Google search ad wouldn't be at the very top. So how likely are people searching to go to page 2 or 3 or 6 if our ad isn't at the top?
Let Google take care of that. All right. So it's not, so one of the things that we'll want to see is our ad at the very top. Trust me, you don't want that. You'll run out of money very fast. You don't, and here's the thing, it'll only show up on the top and stay on there for as long as you have budget for it to continue displaying at top, right? So if you go in there, there's an algorithm that exists to determine what the placement's going to be. And that's going to change over time. It's going to change based on how many people are expiring the amount of money they have to compete for that ad, right? Let's say you have 100 people. Let's say you got a dozen of us focused in the same neighborhood, and we all have different budgets. Well, at a certain point in the day, maybe my budget gets expired and then someone else is going to show up. So it really depends on, like, it's a real-time adjustment that's taking place. Like I said, also, it's going to depend on the quality of the landing page and the quality of the ad, because that goes into the ad ranking system to determine the order in which things are going to show. And so when you first start, like I said, when I first started running this ad, 2 days ago, whenever the 14th was, a few days ago, it was on the second page. But without having done anything, by today it's showing up on the top of the search, or in the first 4 of those search results. So I haven't done anything. It's just Google is getting smarter, right? And then that's what you'll want to do is don't worry about, like, when you first create this ad, oh no, it's showing on the second page. Trust me, it's okay. Google will you're not spending money, by the way, until somebody clicks on it. So it's okay.
Cindy says, help me understand why you're setting up this campaign. When people search for homes, don't they usually use a real estate-based website?
Mm-hmm. So, sorry, I gotta get serious again. So why market a listing, right? Why market a listing? Well, there's a number of reasons why we want to market a listing. First and foremost, I know when people go to those home search sites, I ain't got no control over my listing over there. I can't even control who shows up on the page of who they're going to contact when they see one of our listings on one of those home search sites. I also know this. I know the person who's really serious about searching for homes is going to Google, and they're running searches there. They're not just going to home search sites, because they've started to, I mean, look, here's the thing, is that last year, 51% of people who purchased a home that they found online, meaning that they found the home online and then they said, hey, let's go take a look at this home. That was 51% of people just last year, right? So it's really important for us to be aggressive in how we market our listings, because we can be doing it, right? We can be getting our listing out there. We can be doing that for our sellers, or we can be abdicating responsibility to the home search sites. And there's a cost to doing that. That's why we don't like the home search sites, is because too many of us have abdicated the responsibility of marketing that listing to the home search sites. And so it makes sense that it's going to show up and they're going to contact the other people who are showing up next to it. And then here's the thing, it is far less expensive for me to do the marketing on Google, on Facebook, than it is for me to do the marketing on those home search sites now. So that's why I would suggest that you do it.
Yes. Let's talk about keywords and keyword selection for a second. First, Gregory wants to know, do you use the singular home and house along with the plurals, homes and houses, when selecting your keywords?
Well, it depends on whether you're let me go back to the different match types. So if you're using the broad match type, which I would not suggest, if you're using the broad match type, you could put homes for sale in whatever neighborhood and it'll come up with any random sort of what it thinks it's relevant. If you're using the phrase, then you would have to, or the exact match, then you do want to have the different variations like houses versus homes, or home and house, or no, wait, how, you know what I mean? The single. So it depends on the broad match type. I would come back to this, take a look at this slide, and take a look at this slide that you see on the screen here to be able to understand. All right, Chris used the phrase match type in his example, and that was using those quotation marks and how it's going to show up versus if I were to use the broad or the exact match. To get started, a lot of times people want to do the exact match. When you get to the level where you're really comfortable with using Google AdWords and you have campaigns that are working, and maybe you've gone beyond marketing just listings, but you're actually marketing your home search features, or you're marketing some home buyer guides and things of that nature on here. When you get to that level, that's where you would improve your campaigns by using exact match types. I use exact match types when I know there's a high level of traffic and I'm going to have for an exact term that I'm trying to compete for, and I've got a landing page that's really zeroed in on that exact phrase. When you're just getting started, I would suggest the phrase. I think broad is a little bit too much. It's going to include too much junk in there. But if we're marketing a listing, we have a pretty good idea of what the phrases people are searching for, and we can use that keyword planner tool to learn more of what those phrases are going to be and then include them. You can always go in and add keywords after the fact. So if you go in there and you let it run for a day and you think, you know, maybe I'll add a few more keywords to that, you can go to the keyword planner, do some research, and add a few more to it.
Yes. And how many keywords do you recommend adding to your ad?
You can have,
I think Google says 10 to 15, doesn't it? Like in the setup process?
It depends. You have to take a step back and look at the objective. It's really not about how many keywords. It's about how much traffic those keywords are going to produce. So if I have one keyword that's getting all the search traffic that I need to be able to make that ad perform, then it's one keyword. If I need to have multiple ones because let's say each one of those, there's 100 to 200 average monthly searches. Well, I might want to have a bunch of those because they're very specific, but together, even though individually they're lower, together they represent a larger amount of monthly searches. And so I would start with being specific about what you want to have people, what searches you want your ad to show up for, as opposed to how many I should have in there. In fact, for your first ad, right? Think of this as learning. Please don't think of this as all of a sudden you're going to create this ad and clients are going to come out of the woodwork. This particular campaign is just designed to get you familiar with using this platform. Over time, we're going to work on how to get them to improve and how those to work better. But you're not, that would be like expecting to go on your very first listing presentation and just knocking it out of the park. By the way, you might actually get that listing, but that doesn't mean you did it well. It might have been because you were the only option or something like that. But just as well as I do, the first listing presentation that you would have gone on, you winged it. Maybe you struggled through it. Maybe it was a little uncomfortable. And then over time, you develop that skill. So this tool, just like any other, just like using Facebook, just like using Instagram, heck, just like using the MLS the first time you ever went in there, it's a skill to learn how to use these tools. The first time you went in the MLS, you might have gone to one of the classes at the board to be able to figure out how to use the dang thing. How do I create a CMA and all that kind of stuff? This is the same thing. The first couple of times, you're just going to wing it. I'm sure the first CMA you ever produced was not awesome. Well, maybe not. Maybe it was awesome. Maybe it wasn't accurate, right? So the same thing here is that this is a skill just like any other. Start by getting familiar with it. The reason why I showed you this campaign is that it's specific, right? It serves a specific purpose, which is to market a listing. And this is a good time of year to be focused on marketing listings if you have listings. And it's also, if you don't have listings, it's a good time to start making better quality promises of how you're going to market those listings so people have a reason to hire you. And so I'm always looking for what that competitive advantage is. What are the things that I can show our sellers and our prospective sellers to set us apart? So if I'm showing them, these are the types of campaigns that we're using on Facebook. These are the types of campaigns we're using on Google. These are the types of campaigns we're using on Instagram and YouTube. All of a sudden they say, wow, you're going to do all that? And I say, yeah, It's also going to be on some of these other home search sites. But you know what? We want to make sure we got the entire market covered, because I know that 51% of the home buyers are going to find their home. They're going to find it on the internet, and then they're going to start looking to how do I go about purchasing that home? That's why we need to have an aggressive marketing strategy that includes tools like this. I forget what the question was. Sorry.
You answered it. It's all good. Darlene wants to know why use the zip code instead of the city name in the title in your ad.
Yes. So let's go back up here. So remember that different search terms, different specific keywords represent different levels of intent. They represent different levels of search traffic. So one of the things that I know when I went to that keyword planner is that homes for sale in Austin, there's a lot of searches, and it's probably not specific enough. If I'm just marketing one listing, someone searching for homes for sale in all of Austin probably isn't as interested in that one listing. Now, I know if someone's looking for a home in a specific neighborhood or in a specific part of town, is looking for that one home that they haven't seen yet. Because one of the things I know about buyers is this: they don't trust any of the information. It's why they use Zillow, Realtor.com, our website, the MLS. They use them all because you know what? They don't trust the information because of the amount of inaccuracy of the information and all just like different information. So they go online and they start searching. So I know that for the person who's serious about buying in a particular neighborhood, is they're running searches in that neighborhood. They might even be running searches on a particular address. And that is why we get more specific. See, the more specific we are, the more we conform to the fundamental, or they're going to represent a closing faster than if it's in the earlier stages. So someone who types in homes for sale in Austin.
Nope. And cut off.
Am I still live? So people who are searching for homes for sale in Austin, it's different than someone who's searching for homes for sale in a very specific area. It means that they're beyond, all right, I wonder what homes for sale are generally on the market to, I'm looking for homes in this neighborhood. And there's only so much inventory in a given neighborhood. And that's why marketing a specific listing in that neighborhood has a higher chance of showing up, and a higher chance of showing up to the right person who's going to be interested in that home.
Yes.
And the other thing is, when you're doing campaigns like this, we are taking a sniper approach, so to speak, is that it's not a very broad, just kind of let everybody see it. This is not a yellow pages type thing where you just, put an ad in the yellow pages and you just hope out of all the people seeing it, that one person is going to work. This type of campaign is really designed around who's looking for this, I've got this, and who's looking for it, and how do I connect the dots to that person?
Andrea says, do you create the ad in the zip code or the city or area in terms of the targeting portion of the ad?
So that for the, let me jump up here or jump down. So when you're selecting the location, right? So you're going to come through here, and you're going to select the location. So the location represents where that person might be searching. Now, statistically speaking, a person's only going to move, statistically speaking, from a median standpoint, the median number of miles moved from when someone moves from their old house to their new house, I want to say is like 13 or 14 miles, right? It's been about between 11 and 14 miles for a long time now. People, when they move, they don't move that far from where they were living before. So the median, I think, is about 13, 14 miles, which means that you want to have a pretty healthy radius around that listing. I don't want to even focus on the median, so I'm going to extend that out to the city, because who knows? I'm in Austin. This particular listing was in kind of in the southern downtown area. If someone who is, in West Austin, East Austin, they might be 15 miles away, but they might be looking to move closer to town. And so that's why I used the broader area. Now, here's why it is important, though, is most people who are looking for a home for sale probably live here. They probably live here. Now, in Austin, we actually have a large number of people coming in from California and Chicago as well. So that could be potentially something that I could add to my location. And you can do multiple locations. if you want. I know it's one of the advanced search features. So one of the things that I might do is add California, people searching for homes for sale in 78704 is add California searches, people who are in California searching for that phrase, or maybe even in Chicago, because we have a lot of people coming from that area as well. I might allow for searches coming from the Chicago area. Now, you might say at that point, well, why not let everybody in the United States? Well, because I'm going to end up spending a lot of money on things that probably are not the most relevant traffic. So again, if I want to be wise with if I want to be smart with how the money I'm spending is, I'm trying to line up with the right person, right message. And part of that right person is going to take into account the geographic location of where they're searching from.
Yes. Can you compare AdWords versus AdWords Express and show how to toggle between the two?
I don't know if I can toggle between. Can you toggle between the two?
Yeah, I think so.
You can probably toggle between the two. The problem with AdWords Express is that the targeting option, it's kind of like with Facebook and doing a Facebook boost post versus using Ads Manager, is the AdWords Express. It's really super simple, but the selection tools are very limited. One of the things that I did not like about AdWords Express the last time I tried using it is it forced a group of keywords on my search. And that's what I was not wanting to do, because I didn't want Google to choose the keywords, because it was throwing in some searches that were really big, like homes for sale in Austin. I did not want to compete my little budget with the people who are bidding on some of those larger search volume phrases.
So if you're setting up your first campaign, I know this because I just created a tutorial video for SPP on Google AdWords. You're setting up your very first Google AdWords campaign. There's a link up at the top that says to switch between, it'll start you in AdWords Express, and it'll ask you if you want to switch into regular AdWords. And that's how you can toggle between the two in at least your first campaign.
Right. Is that in this guide here?
No.
Oh.
But if you go into your Google AdWords campaign manager, it should be pretty obvious when you start a new campaign whether or not you're in Ads Express versus the regular AdWords. And
also, even though AdWords Express removes a lot of the options, the learning curve for the two is about the same. AdWords Express makes it easy to get a campaign running, but it also makes it easy to bid on keywords that you don't want to be bidding for. And that's why I personally wouldn't recommend it.
Yep. Talk about budget for a minute. Do they still lower the cost of the bid as your ad ranking increases? Anyone wants to know?
So as your ad rank increases, your cost per click will go down. You will get more impressions and you will get more clicks because of of how your ad ranks. And it has a little I don't want to get into the details, but it has to do with lining up the scoring of your ad to the inventory available. And so you will be rewarded with the better quality advertisement and better quality landing page for that advertisement in time.
Yes. As far as bidding, should I focus on conversions or clicks for this particular type of campaign?
Clicks.
Clicks, not conversions.
Correct.
And can the daily ad be less than $10 a day to start out?
Sure. Sure. But remember, this is a listing. You're not going to, I would not spend, for this type of campaign, if you're doing a just listed campaign, you don't want to spend $1 a day for 30 days. How much, let's say you're going to market a listing. What's your total budget? Have you considered what your budget could be? A lot of people have not thought about what their budget should be for a listing. I know how much I can spend for, a home that's around $300,000. I know what I can spend for a home that's around $500,000-$600,000, and different level if it's around $1 million, 800 to $1 million over. So what I would do is, just create a percentage of what your marketing budget should be, and then allocate that a little bit to Facebook, a little bit to Google, and whatever else you might be spending money on. Maybe you're doing flyers, whatever the case may be. Maybe you're going to do a postcard. But that's the approach that I would take. Is there's not a rule. I can't tell you this is how much money you should spend, because it's going to be different. If you're in a market where you have a lot of turnover for homes that are, let's say, $200,000, between $100,000 and $200,000, that's going to be different. Your price point for marketing is going to be different. It's also not going to cost as much to market a home because there's a high level of interest, high level of demand. I know when we market our investor homes in the Austin area, that's around $300,000. I don't have to spend nearly as much to be able to get that listing exposed, whether it be in Google, whether it be in Facebook. I can spend very little, get a lot of traffic for it. As you increase in price, right? As you increase in price, it is going to be a little bit more expensive to get people to see it, but you also have more margin because the price point is higher. So I would use that. Carve out what you can afford. If you don't know what you can afford, this would be a good first step. What should my budget be for a listing in this price range and that price range? If it's nothing, then I would really sit down and take a hard look at what your process is for marketing listings and whether you're really doing an effective job in taking care of your home seller.
If you have limited funds and can't do both, would you choose Facebook ads or Google ads for marketing listings? Let's clarify that.
Good question. If I had a limited budget and I was just starting out, I would start on Facebook before I moved to Google.
Why?
It's easier to get a result. It's not as high, if I had to choose between the quality of result, I would say Google produces a higher quality result. However,
like leads that are more likely to convert.
I mean, there's a huge difference between somebody searching for a home in a particular area versus someone who's going through the news feed who happens to be interested in buying a home. Because, the right person, right message, right time. It's all about context. So when someone is in the mode of searching in Google, they're like at that exact moment in time, it's top of mind. You're not hoping to get them thinking about real estate. They're thinking about real estate. They're actually in that moment in time looking for homes for sale in an area that you might have a listing. And so is that higher quality? Is that a higher quality interaction than someone who's browsing the newsfeed and happens to see the home that you have on the market? They're browsing the newsfeed. They could be, right, sitting, they could be on the toilet taking a relaxation break, and all of a sudden, they're on Facebook and they see that. Maybe not the right time for them to really do anything about it. Now, the reason why if I were just getting started, however, I would probably use Facebook for marketing a listing is that it's easier for me to get a good result, to get a result where people are going to see it and I can see the numbers behind it. So that's where I would probably start, but I would quickly move on beyond just using Facebook. I think when I look at the promise that we make to home sellers in this case, when I look at the promise that we make to home sellers is that I want to have a comprehensive marketing plan. I think it's really hard for me and someone who's in marketing and who does marketing and who represents marketing in our real estate firm, for me to ignore Google as a place that people go to search for and solve problems and search for things related to real estate, to me seems like I'm just missing out on such a huge part of where the sellers are and where the buyers are. And so that's why for me, if I'm going to make a promise to a seller, I want to make sure that, we are going to do things to try and get their listing found on Google. In fact, we're going to go beyond just trying to get found on Google. We're going to make sure that they get traffic by connecting with people who are running those active searches looking for homes in those neighborhoods. So, but I would start with Facebook. If you've never done anything and you can only do one thing at a time, start with Facebook. Unless you're sitting there saying, I think I like this Google thing, then start with that. Here's the thing. It's more important that you start
that you do it
than you pick and choose. Just do one. You will get a result. I think that oftentimes, as we're learning a new skill, is that it seems a little scary to do that new thing. And there's a million reasons why not to do it, right? Because we're just not good at tech. So, there's this concept about mindsets, and a lot of research has been done on mindsets. And Jordan and I were talking about this the other day because I asked her, I was like, Jordan, would you say you have a fixed mindset or would you say you have a growth mindset? Now, there's actually a woman named Dr. Carol Dweck has done a bunch of research on fixed mindset versus growth mindset. She's actually created this body of work around mindset. And there are two types of people. And I would ask you, which kind of person are you? Do you believe that you have a certain level of talent, that you have a certain level of skill, and then you can only get so good at a thing, right? Like, I'm not good at tech. I'm as good as I'm ever going to be. I'm not good at marketing. I'm as good as ever be. I'm only so good at real estate. I'm only going to perform at the level that I can. Or do you believe in the mindset, or do you have the mindset that says, whatever I want to do, I can acquire the skills, the knowledge, and practice the crap out of it, and I'll get better? The people, and Dr. Dweck found this, is that the people who are most successful in any field of work had the belief that if they just worked on their skills, they worked on their knowledge, and they practiced, that they would get better at whatever they were trying to do. And that, in fact, is the truth, right? Is that the fixed mindset is somewhat of a false mindset where we think we are only capable at a certain level, when we're humans and we are capable of learning, we're capable of adding skill. So it's more important that you do. If you look at Facebook, you want to do Facebook, do it. If you look at Google and this is what you want to do it. But it's very important that you do to start adding those skills, because here's what's going to happen. The first time you go through it, you're going to be like, oh, and then you're going to do it. And then, you'll get a result. And then you'll say, you know what, I did that. I bet you I could do it again. I bet you I could get better at it. I mean, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. And look, people, and I could show people. I was able to show somebody their ad when they went here and it looked great and people saw my ads. Like, that'll give you the motivation to go to the next step, which might be just to run another one and see how that one works. And that's really that process of learning, that process of acquiring skills so that we can become masters at whatever we're trying to become a master at. In this case, it's in marketing real estate a little bit better, right? It is taking that first step, and then that experience we have in learning something new really is a huge motivator for us to continue that path of improving our skills. And then lo and behold, a little bit goes by, you've done a few campaigns, and it's just a normal thing that you do.
Yes.
It's like the first time you ever posted anything on Facebook. You were like, oh my gosh, I'm going to post on Facebook. And then, like, do you even really think about posting on Facebook anymore? Or Instagram, or whatever tools you're using, versus the first time you did. The first time you did, you really thought about what you were posting. Now it's just like,
It'll get easier with practice is the short answer of what he just said. So CJ said, I would also like to have info on a generic ad to run on Google AdWords when we don't have a listing. We actually did a coaching club session about how to get your website found on Google.
Oh, yeah.
That I'm going to share with you guys in the chat section on YouTube.
Yeah, that's the first one I would do on Google, by the way.
Yes.
This is the second one. First one is you should be found when people search for your name and city. Check out the March 2018 coaching session on that exact topic, getting found on Google.
You remember the date of that? Yeah. That's impressive. Anyway, the link to it, the direct link to it is in the chat section. It'll also be linked to this session in the resource library when we post that on Monday. And Jim has a really interesting question. If I have my Facebook pixel on my property page, will visits through AdWords be available for retargeting through Facebook ads?
Now you're getting tricky. Yes, absolutely.
Yes. So if you have the Facebook pixel installed on your website, people who visit your website through your Google AdWords will be tagged. Is that the right verb for it?
They're pixeled.
Correct.
They're pixeled.
They're pixelated by the Facebook pixel. And then you will be able to create a new audience of those people in Facebook and run retargeting ads to them.
You can actually do that with Google AdWords too. If you install your Google Analytics account to your Agent ID site, you can do retargeting through Google Analytics and Google AdWords as well.
Yes.
Cool. Is that it?
I think let's do Narish's last question.
Okay.
When I put in an address and keywords, it shows 0 reach.
Yes, that's why I didn't talk about the address.
So don't put in your address.
Well, there was a time when it actually worked. There was a time when you could do an individual address, but it no longer works if you just do that individual. Now, who would be searching for that individual address? Well, someone who's like really, that seller is probably going to Google that individual address. A really serious buyer might Google that individual address. That is why, however, I would make sure that your landing page for that property has been search engine optimized so that you have a better chance of ranking for that. Now, you couple a good a landing page for that property that has been search engine optimized and run some Facebook and Google ads to it, and then eventually, with time, go to the top.
Yes.
Has the possibility of going to the up. I wouldn't guarantee it. It depends on what the other people in the market are doing and how soon you create that landing page. If it's already syndicated to all the other home search sites and you're a week late to even putting your property landing page on it, it's not going to show up on the top unless you're running ads for it.
Yes. All right, guys, that was the last question. So with that, we're going to wrap up today. There is theoretically going to be a replay link emailed out to you in about 30 minutes. I have no idea what's going to happen with it. So
hey,
we'll see.
If it's not there, you guys will see the replay when we post it into the member site on Monday.
Yes. And I already texted our videographer to see if we could get that up for you guys a little bit early, since we want to say sorry for all the technical issues, and we appreciate you sticking with us. Our next coaching club session is going to be on June 6th. So mark that on your calendars. We'll be releasing the June digital marketing campaign. It's going to be pretty awesome. It's about relocation, which is exciting. So that'll be a great resource to give out to your clients. I will send you guys the link to register for that. And if you have any questions in the meantime, before our next coaching club session, please email us at support@thepaperlessagent.com, and I will help you. Taylor will help you. One of our other team members will get with you ASAP.
Yeah. Oh, and if you run a campaign, you have a success story, you just want to say, wow, that was easy. Send me a story about what happened when you did your first campaign.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
See you on the next coaching session. See you online. Bye.